For those of you who already love to exercise, I will try to give you new insights into how and why different kinds of inactivity and physical activity affect your body, why exercise really does promote health without being a magic pill, and why there is no optimal dose or type of exercise. For those of you who struggle to exercise, I will explain how and why you are normal, help you figure out how to get moving, and help you evaluate the benefits and drawbacks of different kinds of exercise. But this is not a self-help book. I am not going to hawk 7 easy steps to get fit or cajole you to take the stairs, run a marathon, or swim the English Channel. Instead, my goal is to explore skeptically and without jargon the fascinating science of how our bodies work when we move and take it easy, how and why exercise affects health, and how we can help each other get moving. 10+ exercise lessons from the book Exercised. Number 1. If you want to start a fight in a room of exercise scientists, shout loudly, "Exercise doesn't help you lose weight, then run." Until recently, it was considered a universal truth that moderate exercise like walking is essential for losing weight. But as the obesity epidemic has mushroomed and billions of people struggle and fail to shed unwanted pounds, 2 opposing camps have emerged on this issue. Some experts vigorously defend walking and other kinds of exercise as indispensable for any weight loss program, but others have come to view these efforts as ineffective. As is so often the case, the debate oversimplifies a complex issue that defies a simple yes or no answer. Number 2. How much and what kind of exercise are best? This one is easy. Cardio is better than weights for obesity. As we will see later, weights help counteract some of the metabolic consequences of obesity, but cardio is better for preventing and reversing excess weight. One randomized control study that compared the effects of cardio and weights on overweight and obese adults found that individuals prescribed just weights barely lost any body fat, but those prescribed 12 miles a week of running lost substantial amounts of fat, especially harmful organ fat. How much the intensity of cardio matters for weight loss, however, is up for debate. Although individuals vary widely in their responses, higher intensity activities generally burn more calories than lower intensity activities, but they are also harder to maintain for long and thus sometimes end up consuming less total energy. What matters most is probably cumulative dose. 150 minutes of walking a week is probably not enough to lose much weight. Number 3. Sitting. Is it the new smoking? If I Google how many hours per day Americans sit, dozens of websites pop up with factoids that range from as little as 6 hours to as much as 13 hours per day. What is the correct answer within this more than twofold range? And what about you or me? Typically, I get up around 6 a.m., walk the dog, make coffee, go for a run, but otherwise work at my desk with short breaks for lunch and dinner, and collapse in bed by 10 p.m. Given that my job mostly requires me to stare at computer screens, and I live half a mile from my office, I suspect I sit as much as 12 hours on an ordinary day. That said, I fidget and pace frequently, often do small errands, sometimes eat lunch standing up, to my wife's dismay, and occasionally use a standing desk. So maybe I sit less. The fastest, least expensive way to get information on how much people sit is simply to ask them, as I just asked myself. Many studies use self-reported estimates, but we tend to be inaccurate, biased judges of our activities, sometimes claiming activity levels as much as 4 times higher than reality. Number 4. When we are young, physical activity prompts us to develop capacities like strong bones and improved memory. As we grow older, physical activity triggers many key maintenance and repair mechanisms that help us stay vigorous into middle and old age. And so, for countless generations, our ancestors rested as much as possible, but also spent many hours a day walking, carrying, and digging. And occasionally they also ran, climbed, threw, danced, and fought. Their lives were challenging, and plenty of them died young, but physical activity helped many of those who survived childhood to become active, productive grandparents. Number 5. How does physical activity help? Having type 2 diabetes raises a person's risk of dying, in some cases to a small degree, in other cases substantially, but it is treatable using drugs, diet, and exercise. Although drugs help, they aren't always necessary. Diet and exercise can sometimes allow the body to heal itself. In one dramatic test of this concept, 10 overweight Australian Aborigines with type 2 diabetes reversed their disease after just 7 weeks of returning to an active hunting and gathering lifestyle. The mechanisms by which physical activity helps prevent and treat type 2 diabetes are well studied. Most basically, exercise, in conjunction with diet, can ameliorate every characteristic of metabolic syndrome, including excess organ fat, high blood pressure, and high levels of blood sugar, fat, and cholesterol. Number 6. Cancer scares me more than any other disease. Now the second leading cause of death worldwide, killing about 1 in 4, cancer is a sort of cellular Russian roulette that seems to strike indiscriminately, most often after the age of 50. Over the last few decades, medical science has made impressive advances in understanding and treating various cancers, but a diagnosis too often remains a death sentence. Perhaps spectacular new treatments will be invented soon, but right now we need to pay more attention to preventing cancer. Prevention includes not only exercising, but also recognizing that the disease is a form of evolution gone dreadfully wrong. Number 7. Speed and strength remain important components of exercise, including sports. All mammals play when they are young to develop athletic skills useful for fighting. Yet in every culture, humans young and old engage in sports and other forms of play. It is not coincidental, moreover, that most games and sports emphasize qualities like speed and strength that blur the line between play, fighting, and sometimes hunting. If you think about it, the athletes we most admire and reward tend to be those who outcompete others according to the brawny precepts of the Olympic motto: Citius, Altius, Fortius, faster, higher, stronger. Number 8. Everyone wants to live long, but no one wants to get old. So for centuries, people have sought ways to slow aging and defer death. Desperation makes for lucrative business opportunities. Not long ago, quacks would have tried to lure you to consume tobacco, mercury, or ground-up dog's testicles to postpone your eternal rest. Today's peddlers of immortality hawk human growth hormone, melatonin, testosterone, megadoses of vitamins, or alkaline food. For millennia, however, the most sensible advice has always included exercise. Just about everyone knows what countless studies confirm. Regular physical activity slows the aging process and helps prolong life. I doubt anyone was astounded when Hippocrates wrote 2,500 years ago, "Eating alone will not make a man well. He must also take exercise. Endurance promotes endurance." Number 9. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, I don't recognize the gray-haired fellow with a receding hairline who stares back. Happily, I don't yet feel as old as I look. Aging is inexorable, but senescence, the deterioration of function associated with advancing years, correlates much less strongly with age. Instead, senescence is also influenced strongly by environmental factors like diet, physical activity, or radiation, and thus can be slowed, sometimes prevented, and even partly reversed. The distinction between aging and senescence may seem obvious, but the two processes are frequently confused. Many conditions occur more commonly with advancing age, but only some are actually caused by age. Menopause, for example, is a normal consequence of aging that happens when a woman's ovaries run out of eggs. Number 10. How would you feel if your boss required you to exercise? Henrik says he wants his employees to exercise because he wants them, and by extension his company, to be the best people they can be. And that requires exercise. To be honest, I had qualms about Henrik's approach. Philosophically, I classify myself as an admirer of libertarian paternalism, the idea that companies, governments, and other institutions should help us act in our own best self-interests while respecting our freedom of choice. Libertarian paternalists favor nudges over coercion. Instead of forcing people to exercise, libertarian paternalists provide incentives. Rather than relying on us to opt in, to be organ donors or tip waiters, libertarian paternalists ask us to opt out of these programs or have credit cards automatically remind us to tip when we pay the bill. In lieu of banning tobacco, libertarian paternalists slap dire warnings on cigarette packages and advocate heavy taxes. Why should exercise be any different from smoking? Just as we have a right to smoke despite its unhealthy effects, don't we also have the right not to exercise? Number 11. Imagine you have been asked to conduct a scientific study on how much, when, and why normal people exercise. Because we tend to think of ourselves and our societies as normal, you'd probably collect data on the exercise habits of people like you and me. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, you probably will not see us again. If you have, congratulations, you are growing every day.